right? And obviously in the garage, there's no winds, right? My mom's doing something else. She's sweeping the garage. All she sees is that teabag paper moving like this.
Oh,
No, like going insane.
there's no wind. There's no like
No
draft
wind.
in the room.
Yeah, no wind. So she's like, wait a minute. They said there was a ghost here already, a spirit.
Yeah.
And it's my grandma's death day.
Yeah.
She said, okay, let's do this. She went to church with my dad.
Yeah.
And she lit up a candle and she prayed. So I'm pretty sure everyone was right. That is my grandma. It's confirmed that my grandma does live with me still.
On that day.
Yeah, on that day.
Cause was she like staying in the basement a lot?
Yeah.
Cause I remember there was this story I heard. I think it's actually from like a friend, but they told me they had a relative in their house and they loved sitting on like a rocking chair and
Till they like level out. Because it takes ages for the grass to set.
It's a point of view shot. The point of view shot is somebody just walking forwards with the camera. So basically he's filming what he's seeing very deep inside the catacombs. Other than the point of view shots are pictures of bones. Human bones. Occasionally he stops and he photographs bones, often in the shape of an arrow. These arrows point in a direction. Occasionally also he stops to photograph roomfuls of bones, which means that he's very, very deep inside the catacombs. What happened to him? Nobody knows. There are ways to match things up, to try to identify where this person was in the catacombs. At times you'll see there's signs, painted signs on the wall, which is not uncommon. People have been painting in the catacombs for centuries. So it is possible with these paintings that we may be able to retrace an itinerary to some extent. After about 40 minutes of these point of view shots and these pictures of bones, the person begins to walk faster and faster. Then he begins to run. We hear his breathing get louder and louder, as though something was scaring him. He's frightened. Occasionally he stops, perhaps to try to decide which way to run among all the many different corridors. He's running faster and faster and faster, deeper and deeper into the catacombs. And all of a sudden, he drops the camera. The camera just drops on the ground and keeps rolling. And you see his feet just run away. And it keeps rolling until it runs out of tape.
¿Fuiste tú? No, man. Ay, güey. Bebé, háblale tú. No sé.
Hola.
No mames. ¿Qué?
¿Escuchó algo?
¿Fuiste tú?
No, escuchó algo.
¿Estás aquí con nosotros?
¡Muévete de aquí! ¡Muévete! ¡Muévete! ¡Vamos! ¡Me caíste!
Strangest coincidences in history. In 1838, Edgar Allan Poe published his only novel, The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket. Partway through the book, a mutiny occurs aboard a ship called the Grampus, which is later damaged in a storm, leaving the surviving crew with no food or water. The men manage to catch and eat a tortoise, but eventually, in order to remain alive, the crew draws straws to decide which of them will be cannibalized by everyone else. The short straw goes to a former mutineer named Richard Parker, who is promptly stabbed and eaten. This keeps the two remaining crew members alive alive long enough for them to be rescued. The really bizarre part, though, is that nearly 50 years after the book's publication, Poe's novel came true. In 1884, a yacht named the Mignonette left England headed towards Sydney, Australia when it sank in a storm. The 4-man crew escaped in a lifeboat, but they didn't have enough food or water to survive. They managed to catch a sea turtle and eat it, but they soon needed more food and water. By July 16th, the men were all delirious and starving. That was when they began having serious conversations about cannibalism. 2 of the men tried drinking seawater to quench their thirst. Both those men became seriously ill. One of them passed out and fell into the water, and by the time they dragged him back into the boat, he was in a coma. That was when his 3 companions decided to stab him in the neck, drink his blood, and eat his flesh out of desperation. This kept the survivors alive long enough to be rescued by a German sailboat. The really uncanny part, though, is that not only do the events that occurred aboard the Mignonette closely mirror Poe's novel, but the name of the 17-year-old cabin boy was also Richard Parker, making this one of the...
Let's keep this short and simple. I don't think skinwalkers exist, so I've been going out into the forest completely alone trying to prove whether they do or do not exist. They say that skinwalkers can transform into all sorts of different animals and that they stalk you, and if you whistle or say their name, that they'll eventually, well, hunt you down and do bad things to you. So I decided to taunt them a little bit by doing this. I've said skinwalker at least 1,000 times, so if they are real, they're probably hunting me down, so this is not a good idea. And to my utter surprise, there was absolutely nothing out there and nothing came for me. So I waited for the sun to go down since it would get a little creepier, and I started hearing some weird noises in the trees. Go ahead and take a listen. Whatever it is, it's probably some sort of animal or something, I don't know. It's still not scaring me, so I decided to go even deeper into the forest in hopes of finding something, but, again, skinwalkers don't exist, so I don't think I'm gonna find anything out here, and I'm gonna taunt it as much as I possibly can. I even tried calling skinwalkers out, literally telling them to come get me, and...
But why taunt it? Why even try to see if something like that exists? Just so it can kill you?
yeah, you guessed it, nothing happened. I thought I saw something in the tree line here, so I got a little creeped out that maybe it was a bear, but it was nothing. I'm now 100% sure that skinwalkers are nothing more than just a little campfire tale, and they're not gonna come get me.
The Dumbest Ways to Die, Part 1. In 1993, Canadian lawyer Gary Hoy claimed to a group of students that the windows in his building were unbreakable. To prove this, he threw himself at the window at full force. While the glass didn't break, the frame popped out and Gary fell 24 stories to his death. The man who once had the longest beard in the world died after he accidentally stepped on it and broke his neck. Last January, a Kansas man died after being shot by his dog in a freak hunting accident. He was sitting in the front seat of his pickup truck when his dog stepped on his rifle in the back seat. In Houston, Texas, a 19-year-old man named Rashad died while attempting to play Russian roulette. Apparently, he didn't know how the game worked since he tried using a semi-automatic pistol instead of a revolver. In 1871, Ohio lawyer Clement Vallandigham was trying to demonstrate how the victim might have accidentally shot himself instead of being murdered. In the process, Clement accidentally shot himself. He died, but he won the case.
So I'm in the middle of the forest looking for skinwalkers and found this really weird cliff dwelling on the side of a cliff. I don't believe that skinwalkers are real, and locals told me not to do this, but I did it anyway. I went out to the middle of the forest by myself to look for skinwalkers. That cliff dwelling gave me a really bad feeling in my stomach, but I couldn't stop myself there. I had to keep going. Things started to get really weird though, because I saw crows all around me and they started cawing at me, and they were literally like everywhere. Every single tree I walk under at this point has a crow standing above me, which is kind of freaking me out, not gonna lie. That is the mountain that I unfortunately have to hike to get to the deep dark forest. Things are starting to get really creepy and the temps are getting very, very cold, as you can see. I finally made it to the forest and night is finally upon us. Immediately, as soon as I got in the forest, I noticed that there was a set of eyes staring at me. I tried to figure out what it was by getting closer, but it literally just was gone when I got near it. Things got even worse. I know, hard to believe. I found this really weird hut, and I just want to remind you guys, I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. Like, nobody is around me. I'm completely alone, and there's no sign of civilization out here, so this seems really, really strange. As soon as I got near this weird hut thing, my stomach dropped. I literally feel as if something is out there watching me right now. I figured what better time to try to test fate than now, so I did this.
Skinwalker, Skinwalker, Skinwalker. You aren't real. I don't believe. Wendigo, whatever you are, come and get me if you're real.
And literally immediately after, I'm not kidding, like immediately, I noticed a deer watching me. It just seemed really weird in its mannerisms and how it was acting, and I don't know, something feels bad and off right now.
You'll never believe what terrorized this small town in rural Kentucky.
Hey, you okay?
December 13th of 2009, the small town of Fancy Farm came under attack from an unknown entity. This is the only footage that we have of it.
Fancy Farm, Kentucky. Some of the local farmers were noticing that their livestock was coming up missing, and to be found several days later, completely mutilated. Now, that's not so strange, because it's a farm, and things like this happen from time to time. But then Tanya Williams comes up missing, and she's found completely eviscerated in the woods. Then Candy Adams just ripped to shreds. And now, El Hutchins boys come up missing. So, some of the police, some of the locals have gotten together, and they formed like this old-fashioned hunting party to hunt down this whatever it is, and I'm not gonna miss a minute of it.
A town meeting had been called at the sheriff's station.
Oh my God, is that El Hutchins? Yeah, they found their sons. He's dead.
They had just recovered the bodies of two more who had been killed by whatever this was.
All right. I understand y'all don't want to do this, but I gotta have a few brave men. We got to put this thing down. So let's do it.
Fancy Farm was a small town. Small towns tend to stick together, and the sheriff had had enough. He knew the two girls who had been killed, and he knew the two boys who had been killed. They were going to war.
Okay.
This is a real picture of a man without a face. His name is Charlie No Face. He was so severely injured as a child in an electrical incident that his face became disfigured and non-existent. His skin also had a green hue to it, so they nicknamed him the Green Man also. He could not go out during the day because he would cause massive panic around everyone around him. So he decided to go out late at nights for walks, which probably wasn't much better. But this real person became an urban legend. People started making rumors of him that he's a ghost and he'll haunt you if he sees you. They also said he only comes out at night in the alleyways when you're all alone and darkness is all around you. And he apparently also haunts a tunnel in western Pennsylvania. But these rumors were simply not true. He was just a man trying to walk at night. He was never trying to cause any panic, and he was well liked by his family and his neighbors. He was just someone who suffered a tragic incident as a child. Unfortunately, because of the times, nobody knew this and everyone would make stuff up about him. Let me know your thoughts on No Face Charlie, aka the Green Man. And reminder, these videos are for informational purposes only. This is a real picture of a man without a face. His name is Charlie No Face. He was so severely injured as a child in an electrical incident that his face became disfigured and non-existent. His skin also had a green hue to it, so they nicknamed him the Green Man also. He could not go out during the day because he would cause massive panic around everyone around him. So he decided to go out late at nights for walks, which probably wasn't much better. But this real person became an urban legend. People started making rumors of him that he's a ghost and he'll haunt you if he sees you. They also said he only comes out at night in the alleyways when you're all alone and darkness is all around you. And he apparently also haunts a tunnel in western Pennsylvania. But these rumors were simply not true. He was just a man trying to walk at night. He was never trying to cause any panic, and he was well liked by his family and his neighbors. He was just someone who suffered a tragic incident as a child. Unfortunately, because of the times, nobody knew this and everyone would make stuff up about him. Let me know your thoughts on No Face Charlie, aka the Green Man. And reminder, these videos are for informational purposes only.
The worst video on the dark web. This man is contacted on the internet for a horror escape game in a secret location. When he gets there, he comes across this terrifying thing.
Oh my God.
Whatever goes through here, the place is all yours. I'm going. No, you've got to be kidding me. I'm just trying to leave like you wanted. I'm sorry.
This is the snow incident, one of the worst ways somebody has ever died, explained.
This is 12-year-old Josh Demarest, and he lived in New York with his family. One day, Josh was outside playing with his 12-year-old friend Tyler. It was a snowy day, and as we all did when we were younger, they decided to build a snow fort. and many witnesses saw them playing in the snow. And then they both went missing. Nobody could find them anywhere. So the police were called and they began to search the area. They used canine dogs to try and get the scent of the young boys. They then found footprints leading to a particular snow pile. And when they got to that snow pile, they saw a sled sticking out of it. So everybody at the scene began digging crazy at the snow pile. Everybody was completely freaking out, thinking the worst, and the worst happened. The snow was tightly packed, but they eventually found Josh and Tyler. Both of them were completely buried in the snow, and then they were taken to the hospital. Tyler did have hypothermia, but he did survive. But sadly, Joshua would die. So what happened? Well, when the two boys were building their snow fort, they heard a dump truck backing up, making that beeping noise over and over. And Tyler said at that point, everything just went completely black. The drivers of the truck were working on this snow pile that the boys were at, but they never even saw them playing. So they were buried alive under several feet of tightly packed snow. Tyler was able to find a small air pocket, which is how he survived. But unfortunately, Joshua was buried face down, and they were buried underneath the snow pile for 3 whole hours. Joshua's mother was not in town when he died, because her mother, Joshua's grandmother, died that same exact day. The snowbank where Joshua died was then turned into a temporary memorial, and I just can't believe this happened. This is absolutely horrifying, and this is definitely one of the worst ways to go. I feel so bad for Joshua and especially his mother. And
Thank you guys so much for tuning into the video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you guys did enjoy it, be sure to subscribe and like the video. And leave comments on things you would like me to do better or what you would like to see. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.